Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. I believe you are going to like this video today. We're going to go from start to finish on my Snapchat puts that I took today, taking about 100% on a contract. So I really like this video because I'm going to go from start to finish, from plan to intraday management to execution to selling it for profit. I'm going to walk through everything that I was thinking during this trade, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you're in the Discord chat, you walk through this trade live with me the entire day. When I got in, where I was managing the technical levels intraday, where I didn't want to see the stock get above because I was in put options, and where I went ahead and ultimately got out and took profit. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you're in the chat, enjoyed that live trade. I know some of you took this trade with me, so congratulations. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump into this trade, jump into this breakdown. If you guys enjoyed after watching, press that like button, subscribe to the channel, comment down below if you took some put options today, what you traded. I would love to hear from you guys. And most importantly, press that bell notification so you know every single time that I post. So guys, before we jump into the charts, I quickly want to go through the mindset that I had coming into today. Today, I was a little concerned about potential downside. The first reason was because there was a lot of tech earnings coming out in the after hours. Most of the time when you have such big news that's going to be coming out, you get a little bit of panic on the market. Not so many buyers, a little bit of weakness, maybe people taking profits on their positions before getting into these big tech earnings. We had that. Tomorrow, we have Jerome Powell that will be talking. And on top of that, we had more downside on the Asian markets, which I think is slightly affecting our markets as well. You saw BABA take another big fall today, in the after hours or in the pre-market, that big gap down due to the Asian market. So coming into today, I was a little cautious. I felt like we may see a little bit of a pullback, and this was the perfect day for me to execute on my greater idea that we may see some gap fills on the social media stocks that gapped up huge after Snap, Twitter reported earnings. We had Snap and Twitter and Facebook all move higher off that ad revenue push, that big ad revenue report. And, we saw a lot of these things gap up. Ultimately, I was looking to play that downside gap. I wanted to see some downside if we could get that gap fill, and I was focusing on Snapchat today. Now, we didn't get the full gap fill. We took some of this move. Ultimately, I think maybe we can get a little bit more downside over the next few days, maybe the next few weeks. I'll show you the gap fill today. I'll show you the technicals that I was looking at. But that was my plan coming into today, just so you guys sort of know my mindset coming into today, and this is why I took this trade. So getting into the charts now for us to see how I executed this trade. First of all, we're going to go over the technicals, and then I will pull up where I got into these positions. So right here on your screen, you guys see the 5-day, 5-minute chart on Snapchat. You had this big move higher. This would be your gap up in the after hours into the pre-market on Snapchat. And here is the last 3 days. After hitting this $79 resistance, you started to get a little bit of slippage. So today, you finally got a little bit of that downside. So here's the last 5 days. Now, if I go to the daily chart, you'll see this gap up pretty nicely here. I'm going to go ahead and delete the VWAP here just because it gets in the way there. But right here, you guys can see the gap up that occurred on Snapchat's daily chart. Right here, big gap up. And I was looking for us to fill this gap. If you guys know gaps on stock charts, most of the time when you have a big gap up, most of the time, not all the time, and not right away, you get the stock to fill that gap. So to fill the gap, Snapchat would have to come all the way back down to $63 a share. Now, I didn't expect this much of a fall today. Where I was expecting and my price target today was these previous highs back in February. So going to the 4-hour chart, my first price target of the day, and this is all, talked about in the Discord chat, so I'm not just making this up. If a Discord member wants to have my back here and tell you that I actually had this price target, so be it. I really don't mind if you don't believe me, but price target today was 72. 72, because if you look over here, back to these previous highs, this is where the structure point was on Snapchat. 72 was where I was looking for Snapchat to pull back to. Now, ultimately, I would have loved to see the gap fill today. Would have made these put options go up like crazy, but 72 was my realistic target coming into this put option. Then the reason I say that is just using technicals. So $72 on the 4-hour chart was the next level up to the downside. You can see it right here on the 4-hour, some $72 resistance, and I was expecting that to turn into support today on Snapchat. You can see that on the daily chart. So that was my plan coming in. Downside, potential gap fill, $72 resistance turning into support. Let's see if we can take a play to the downside. So now I want to go ahead and break down where I got into this play. I'll go over my entry, which was not the best, and I'll go over how I managed this intraday and where I ultimately got out. Okay, guys, so up on your screen, you're going to see my trade log from today. This was my one and only trade from today, a one and done type trade. And you can see I cut 2 snap put options, July 30th expiration, $75 puts. I got them for $1.88 per contract. I sold the first one up 100%, and I sold the next one, I'm not sure the exact percentage, but I think it's around maybe 60 to 50%. I'm not sure the exact. Let me go ahead and do that just so I know. So 275 minus 188. Whoops. 275 minus 188 over 188. So about 50%, 46% on the second one. So 100% and 50% on these 2 contracts. I sold one, and then I let the next one ride and sold the next one once I started to see Snapchat starting to turn against me. So that was my trade. About a $250 winner, so not big dollar amount, but a very comfortable trade, very risk-free, not risk-free, but stress-free and very low risk according to my my account size, with about $400 in this position. So that was my trade there on Snapchat. Now, let's go ahead and talk about my entry. My entry was not fantastic, and I'll show you why it wasn't that good. Some of the members in our Discord actually got way better entry than me because they were a little bit more patient than I was. So this morning, Snapchat coming in, we started to get this dip. The NASDAQ at this exact same time was getting very beat up. NASDAQ was taking a big hit, and I went ahead and I executed this Snapchat put option at 9:30 and 54 seconds. Now, the reason I got in here on this first candle was we started to get a pullback to the 9 EMA, and I wanted to see if I could catch that entry there off the 9 EMA and see if I could catch this downside. Now, I did stay in this trade. I was in a little bit of drawdown in this trade because you can see it started to move higher on me, ultimately failing around $77 a share. Now, why did I stay in this trade? The reason I stayed in this trade was because I was using some levels from yesterday. So my stop on this trade, I was talking to the chat, was if we could get above this little double top from yesterday. This was where I was going to say, okay, Snapchat is definitely being a little bit stronger than I expected, and I just need to take my loss because we are now breaking above this double top from yesterday. This was a very heavy level yesterday. You can see we rejected off of it here, double top here. So this is more of a triple top, honestly, right here on Snapchat. I did not want to see it get above that level. I did not use the 9 EMA strategy for this trade in the morning. You could have used it to the upside here, but I wasn't using it for the downside play today in the morning. I was waiting to see previous day levels to use those as my stop loss. So my stop loss was up here at 77.23. So we did move higher. I was slightly red, but with the position size I had, I was comfortable. If I took the loss, I took the loss. It would be about $100 or $200. Nothing that would kill me. Got in small, risk or stress-free trade, and I got in here. So the entry was not fantastic. I did have my stop in place coming into this trade, so if it did work against me, there was a clear place for me to take my loss. But ultimately, this thing started to fail. So we started to fail. We started to move below the intraday low, which was right here. So we got that intraday low breakdown right around 74.82. Now, what I was looking for, the big level that I was waiting to break today, was $74 a share. $74 was the level because that is where this day opened. Right around here at 74 was where this level started to find where we started to break out from the day after earnings. So right here, $74 was the level that I was looking to see if we can break below, because after that, I didn't see much support until around 73. And then ultimately, if we broke 73, then I thought we'd get a nice big fall. But as you can see, 73 was around the area where we started to hold intraday. So going back into today, going back into the 1 minute chart here, you guys can see I did get in, but I didn't have the best entry. Held it because my stop loss was up here around 77.23. We started to take a dip lower. started to move higher, and I was just waiting patiently to see if this would continue to make lower highs. We started to move higher. I held into it. The reason I held right here was because this was pre-market resistance. You can see right here some pre-market resistance, and I held it to see if this would stair step down and make lower highs. So right here was a confirmed lower high, a little bit of a double top. We started to fall off of it, breaking below low of day right here around 74. And when we came back down to this $74 level, this is where that big flush started to happen. 74 broke down and we got a big flush lower. We started to move back higher. Why didn't I get out here? The reason I didn't get out here was because I was looking at this 5-minute 9 EMA. So if I go to the 5-minute chart, you guys will notice that right here on the 5-minute chart, I was actually looking at some longer time frames today, like I've been trying to get myself to do. So I went to the 5-minute chart, and what you'll notice right here on the 5-minute chart is a very, very nice rejection of the 9 EMA on the 5-minute. You can see these two wicks right here and a very strong rejection off that level. So I stayed in the trade. I was patient. I wasn't stressing. I had no emotions in this trade because I had small position sizes. And that is something that I told the chat today. If you guys have emotions during trades, just scale down. And this scale down today was really key for me, because if this was a big trade, I may have got a little bit emotional here on this push higher, but I was, zooming out, looking at the overall trend, and right here is a beautiful rejection of the 9 EMA on the 5-minute chart. So I stayed in there on that trade. If we go back to the 1 minute, we can see that we rejected at that level. And when we started to move down right here, we started to flush through low of day again. And the reason I didn't get out here on this push is because we had another stair step. So here's your stair step here. Here's your stair step here. And these are just stair steps lower, in my opinion, breaks and a retest of that previous support right here. You guys can see we broke this stair step, started to move back into it, rejected off of it, moved back lower. So these are your stair steps: stair 1, stair 2, and stair 3. And we rejected the entire morning here off these levels. When we break through a level, if we try to get back into it and we reject, that is why I held. So I continue to hold through this put, didn't get out here because I was just looking at these previous support levels to act as resistance. And that is exactly what we got here on Snapchat. Started to move down, and you can see right at 72 is where I started to think about getting out of this trade. So if I pull back up my trades, if I pull this back up, you guys will see that right here around 1140, I took this trade. I took one off for 100%. 1140 is right here on this wick through 72, taking my 100% right here at this low of day. So I pretty much bottom tick this put option on one of my contract, which I was very, very happy about. After 72, after that 4-hour support level that I was talking to you guys about earlier in today's video, you'll see that we started to move higher. And where I ultimately got out of this trade was when we broke above right here at 1209. And 1209 was right where we got above this stair step level. So this stair step level that I was watching, I did not want to see us break above this level. I was talking to the chat at the time saying if we break above this stair step, this previous low, I'm going to go ahead and get out of this trade. And right here was my exit on this big candle through that level. Right here at 1209, I went ahead and I took my profits. So nice exit. Rest of the day, we started to sort of hold that level, started to make higher lows. And you can see that after my exit, we started to move higher through the day and started to push through this level. So I'm very happy about this trade. I don't like the entry as much as, I could have done better on the entry, but my patience throughout intraday, looking at previous levels, looking at the 5-minute, looking at the 9 EMA on the 5-minute, and trusting the technicals here intraday, I think I did a great job of. So I like the put options. I like the trade that I took. And ultimately, if we go back out to this 5-day, 15-minute, where you can see, actually go to the 5-minute, where you can see that Snapchat really held up was right around this previous level here. So right here, this is where we basically held up intraday, and that was basically the bottom of the day was right at this previous level. So coming into tomorrow, I'm not opposed to looking at this once again. If we break through this level, if we break through this 72 tomorrow, then maybe Snap gets even more downside. So we still have a lot of room to the downside. The gap fills all the way down here at 63. Maybe you guys can look for this for put options tomorrow as well. But, big picture, nice trade, nice downside play, trusting the 5-minute 9 EMA. If you zoom in here, you can see we did not break it right here, and I just trusted it to the downside until I took my profits basically right at low of day. So guys, that was my trade today on Snapchat. Hopefully that breakdown makes some sense to you. Just looking at that gap up, looking for the fill of that gap, using some put options, trusting the technicals intraday, zooming out, not just focusing on that 1 minute. And ultimately, the most important part for me was scaling down, making sure I was not nervous in the position, taking emotions out of it, and trusting those technicals. So hopefully you enjoyed the breakdown. If you did, press that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you want to come hang out in the Discord chat where I trade live every single day, the link is going to be down below. It's the first link in the description. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching today's video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.